some of the question of what am I doing to keep myself sane or healthy these days in light of my wellness, kind of this road to recovery post politics and direct service. Oh, well, that's a damn good question. So, so politics and direct service really, really kicked my ass. Like really kicked my ass. Did I already say that it kicked my ass? That kind of activity just really, really kicked my ass. Anyway, well, part of the reason why it in many ways did me in was because, or part of the reason why I had to leave those lines of work was because I was constantly bombarded with stories of pain and suffering, and I was expected to do emotional labor outside of my everyday life, where folks already share their stories with me, which, by the way, I consider a huge blessing. So if you are one of those people that has shared your story with me, I am grateful for you doing that, and please continue to do so, especially here on my YouTube channel. But yes, listening to a lot of stories of pain and suffering can and has led me down some really dark places, namely my own darkness, things that I'm really insecure about, or things that I haven't yet integrated fully, questions that I've always had about myself. It's meant a lot of introspection, and it's been an interesting journey, to say the least. So what am I doing to keep myself sane? Honestly, sometimes I don't do it well. But concretely, what I have been doing is, first and foremost, exercise. I will tend to live in my head, and that, Tony Robbins couldn't have said it any better. Live in your head and you're dead. That is both my blessing and my curse, because I'm definitely a very analytical person, and I write a lot from this analytical perspective. But it's also my curse, because sometimes I'm navel gazing, and I will just kind of focus on what's happening up here as opposed to what's happening here. Oh, sorry, that's the microphone. So getting into my body is absolutely everything. And so, like, literally, I got myself a membership through Planet Fitness. It's like $10 a month, plus an initiation fee of like $39 or something. But getting into my body, any kind of activity that helps me do that is wonderful. I also enjoy going on brisk walks. Anytime I get a chance to just get out and get some walking done, I'm super excited. There are a few places that I can walk down around here. There's like a channel just right behind me here, and then there's the Noguchi Gardens just down the way over in Costa Mesa, and so I'll just tend to like walk around even in my own neighborhood. So I highly encourage it. Find yourself a safe place where you can just go on these long walks. The other thing that I've started to do is to take classes, kind of self-improvement type classes. Like last week, I took classes on stress and how to deal with stress, or stress management, I think it was. And this week, I started taking a class on coping with life's changes, which is, of course, very similar. But now we're talking about some now we're talking about some strategies on how to actually thrive. I think the stress management class was was more about like surviving. Um, so yeah, anyway, so that's one thing. The other thing is I attend what is called a wellness center in Orange. And they've got a ton of support groups. They've got peer leads there too if you need to talk to anybody. They've been very helpful, so shout out to them, the Wellness Center in Orange County. But getting to these places has been absolutely humbling. Again, I consider myself a very analytical person, and I can live in my head forever, and basically be like, I don't need anybody else in my life, which is absolutely not true. This one gentleman at the Wellness Center likes to remind everybody, you substitute the I in illness for a we, now you've got wellness. And that's been a hard lesson for me to learn. Wellness requires others. The last thing, of course, there's a ton of other things, but I really wanted to really hone in on this one. Reaching out to other people. That is especially crucial when we're having meltdowns or when we just need to process something. Reach out, call someone. I forget to do this all the frickin' time. And so I sometimes will wallow or like swim in. I hate using this analogy, but I have to use it. It's swimming in my own cesspool. I mean, it sounds gross, right? Like, pardon the analogy. It's totally gross. But the point is, it's not a good place to be. And I need to invite other people into my life, especially when I'm having very difficult moments. Therapy is huge. So I highly, highly, highly recommend therapy. Gives you an objective perspective, someone that can kind of hold up a mirror for you and say like, hey, this is what I'm hearing. This is what I see. Is this accurate? Like, what does this mean to you? And what are some next steps in terms of your healing process? I happen to be connected to a therapist. His name's Bernie Wasserman. So shout out to Bernie Wasserman. 82-year-old man from Brooklyn, New York. That was my terrible New York accent, but so he's been super, super helpful. And then the other thing too is, if you need a psychiatrist, I mean, some people like to say that medication helps to balance them out. I am on meds myself, and I have found them helpful, especially when I'm going through like some difficult moments in my life. They help to kind of stabilize my mood and to just kind of get me to, if nothing else, a 0 out of, on a scale from -10 to 10. It helps me to get back to 0. And then I have to do the footwork. Well, I had to do the footwork to get to a 0, but then I really have to kick it into high gear to then get myself to like at least a 7 or an 8. But it is a journey. It is a process. Like I said, this is not my story because that implies a beginning and an end. Well, this is my journey, a journey to wellness and recovery. I hope you have found this video helpful. If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to drop them down below. And if you like what you heard, please hit subscribe and hit like. Thank you, and be well, folks.